The fight game is unpredictable, but sometimes it feels like the entire UFC is balancing on the edge of a knife. What began as a routine weigh-in quickly spiraled into something far bigger. Between shocking training footage, emotional retirements, rising tensions among champions, and surprise comebacks, fans aren't just watching fights anymore. They're witnessing the brewing of a storm that could change the entire landscape of the sport. At the center of it all, a handful of fighters, each carrying a story heavier than their division's weight limit. Cory Sandhagen and Deiveson Figueiredo are locked in what may be the most unpredictable main event of the season. Daniel Cormier is calling out the hypocrisy that could destroy a legacy. Makhachev is being targeted with demands to surrender his belt. And then there's Jon Jones, silently plotting something that has fans speculating whether he's ready to rewrite the end of his career or start an entirely new chapter. But beneath all that, deeper threads are pulling. Emotional struggles, quiet retirements, athletes trying to prove they're more than the narrative being written about them. A shift is happening. You can feel it. The old guard is fighting to maintain relevance. The new breed is clawing for power. And all of it is about to explode. This isn't just about who wins on Saturday night. This is about everything that happens next. On paper, it's a simple bantamweight matchup. But when Cory Sandhagen and Deiveson Figueiredo stepped on the scale ahead of UFC Des Moines, the crowd didn't just see two fighters making weight. They saw two very different paths colliding. Cory Sandhagen came in at 135.5 pounds. Calm, calculated, like a man who's been here before. Opposite him, Figueiredo matched the weight, but carried a different energy. He wasn't just making weight, he was carrying the weight of a career resurgence. After dominating flyweight, Figgy is now hunting for new glory in a higher division. And he's chosen one of the trickiest opponents possible. It's a classic contrast of styles. Sandhagen, the rangy technician with unpredictable movement and footwork that gives opponents nightmares. And Figgy, the power striker who thrives in chaos, who turns split-second openings into lights-out moments. The difference in size is obvious, but so is the difference in mindset. For Sandhagen, this is a shot at redemption. For Figueiredo, it's a statement. Many counted him out after his turbulent flyweight saga. Now, he's determined to prove he can hang and win against much bigger men. But here's the twist. This isn't just a technical matchup. It's a psychological war, because both of these fighters are coming in with something to prove. Sandhagen is climbing back from a crushing loss. Figgy is climbing into enemy territory. One is defending his division. The other is invading it. The tension isn't just physical. It's existential. Cory Sandhagen isn't just fighting Figueiredo. He's fighting the echoes of his own past. His last outing, an emotionally draining defeat at the hands of Umar Nurmagomedov, was more than just a mark on his record. It was a wake-up call. After that loss, Sandhagen opened up. He admitted that frustration crept in during the fight, that it clouded his judgment, that it made him push too hard, too soon, and ultimately caused a series of mistakes that spiraled into defeat. In a sport where composure is as vital as skill, losing your grip on emotion can be the kiss of death. But Sandhagen isn't hiding from that truth. In fact, he's using it as fuel. He's spoken candidly about how that loss revealed things about himself, how it taught him that trying to force victory often leads to disaster, and how learning to let a fight breathe, to allow it to develop organically, is just as much a skill as throwing a punch or executing a takedown. This time around, Sandhagen is calmer, sharper. He's focused not just on winning, but on evolving. His goals are clear: become a world champion and master the art of martial combat before his time runs out. And make no mistake, time is ticking. He's in the prime of his career, but in the bantamweight division, prime doesn't last long. Every fight is a step toward greatness or a stumble into irrelevance. For Sandhagen, the clock isn't just ticking, it's roaring. If you think Deiveson Figueiredo is stepping into the octagon just to collect a paycheck, think again. This isn't just another fight for him. It's a mission, a reclamation. After years of dominating the flyweight division, Figgy hit a wall. Weight cuts drained him. Injuries piled up. Critics grew louder. Some said he was done. Others called him a relic from a division that never got the spotlight. But now, Figueiredo is stepping back into the fire, this time in a bigger body with a bigger purpose. He's trained for Sandhagen like it's a title fight, studied the movement, practiced the footwork, prepared for a man who doesn't just strike, but disappears and reappears in angles most fighters can't handle. Figgy isn't trying to play Cory's game. He's planning to break it. His strategy? Pressure. Relentless relentless aggression. He's not going to chase Cory. He's going to cut him off. He's going to throw heat every time Cory stops moving. And if he gets close enough, he's going to test that chin in ways Sandhagen hasn't felt before. But it's not just about Cory. Figgy has his eyes on the whole division. He says a win here puts him in title contention. And in classic Figgy fashion, he's already sizing up the battlefield, saying Morab is too much for Shawn O'Malley, predicting a shakeup at the top of the rankings. For Deiveson Figueiredo, this isn't a comeback, it's an invasion. Sometimes a fight isn't just about rankings, it's about unfinished business. And that's exactly what we're getting with the rematch between Morab and Shawn O'Malley at UFC 316. Set to go down on June 7th, this isn't just another name on the fight card. It's a deeply personal chapter in one of the bantamweight division's most emotionally charged rivalries. Shawn O'Malley made waves this week when he posted an emotional video surprising his father by asking him to corner him for the rematch. It was raw, unscripted, and powerful, a side of fighters we rarely see. Behind that touching moment is a man walking into the octagon with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. Morab, on the other hand, remains a machine, relentless, tireless, and immune to hype. He's already beaten Shawn once, and this time he's looking to do it even more convincingly. His pace breaks fighters, his pressure drowns them, and according to Figueiredo, this matchup isn't even close. Morab is just a bad style matchup for Shawn, he said bluntly, and he may be right, but rivalries have a way of rewriting the odds. Shawn O'Malley isn't the same fighter he was during their first encounter, and emotionally, he's never been more locked in. If he pulls off and sets him up for the redemption arc of a lifetime, it's not just a rematch, it's a reckoning. Daniel Cormier has never been shy about speaking his mind, but this week he pulled no punches when calling out what he sees as a blatant double standard in how fans are treating Islam Makhachev. Islam has defended his lightweight title multiple times against elite names like Alexander Volkanovski twice, Dustin Poirier, and others. But the moment he showed interest in moving up to welterweight, some fans demanded he be stripped of his belt. According to Cormier, it's hypocritical. Jon Jones has fought once in 2 years, and nobody's talking about stripping him, DC pointed out. Islam's done everything right. He stayed active, defended his title, and still people want to take it from him. At the heart of this controversy is Islam's recent statement that he isn't interested in fighting Ilia Topuria, calling him just a featherweight. That dismissive tone ignited a firestorm, with some fans accusing him of ducking. But to Islam, it's strategic. He's looking for a challenge at 170, not another smaller opponent. Reports have even circulated that the UFC may force him to defend or vacate, and if that's true, it puts Makhachev in a corner. No champion wants to be told how to defend their legacy. What we're witnessing isn't just a scheduling issue, it's a narrative war. Islam's being framed as avoiding danger, while his resume screams the opposite. If the UFC pushes too hard, they risk turning one of their most dominant champions into a martyr, and that could shake the entire lightweight division. Robbie Lawler walked away from the UFC in July 2023 after a vicious first-round KO over Nico Price, a perfect ending to a brutal, storied career. But this week, something odd resurfaced. Lawler is still in the USADA testing pool. Immediately, the internet exploded. Was ruthless Robbie coming back? On the Pound for Pound podcast, Lawler addressed the rumors. Turns out he's still getting randomly tested, despite being retired. He says it's nothing more than timing. They tested me at the gym when a bunch of people were there, so it got out. But I've been getting tested for months, he shrugged. Still, the idea of Robbie Lawler returning, however unlikely, strikes a chord. Lawler's not just a fan favorite, he's a symbol of a different era. An era where fighters didn't care about hype, they just came to fight. But he didn't shut the door completely. He admitted that recovery is hard. The body doesn't bounce back like it used to. And he called fighting selfish, an honest reflection of the sacrifices it demands. But when asked if he still could fight, he didn't hesitate. Yeah, I can still do it. Maybe he's done, maybe he's not. But knowing Robbie, if the war calls again, he'll answer. Jon Jones posted something subtle this week. No trash talk, no call-outs, just a photo of his victory wall. Empty frames, posters not yet hung, and a caption that sent chills through the MMA world. There's one last perfect spot left on my wall of victory. The story is still being written. Jones, often considered the GOAT, hasn't fought since capturing the heavyweight title. He's teased a fight fight with Stipe Miocic, but rumors continue to swirl about Tom Aspinall, the division's rising monster. In his post, Jones reflected on his journey, called his career legendary, epic, special. But then he said something telling. "I'm so much more than a fighter. I'm a leader, a man growing in faith, a businessman, a family man." It reads like a farewell, but also like a warning, because buried in that caption is a hunger we've seen before, right before his biggest moments. Jon Jones may be aging. He may be battle-worn, but he hasn't lost the need to prove he's still king. And that blank spot on the wall, he already knows who's going in it. While the spotlight is shining on big names, Garry is moving in the shadows, and he's doing it fast. Just 4 days after his brutal 5-round war with Carlos Prates, Garry posted training footage looking as fresh as ever. "Canada, here I come," he wrote, announcing himself as the backup fighter for the upcoming Bilal Muhammad vs. Jack Della Maddalena showdown. Some questioned the timing, others marveled at the recovery. But what's clear is that Garry isn't slowing down. He's itching to stay relevant, stay ready, and insert himself into any major event, by force, if necessary. It's a bold strategy. Being a backup isn't glamorous. You train like hell with no guarantee you'll fight. But for Garry, it's a gamble worth making, because all it takes is one injury, one missed weight cut, and suddenly he's the main event. And make no mistake, he's ready. Foot still bruised, knuckles still sore, Garry is pushing through. Not for money, not for attention, but for a moment. The kind that turns contenders into stars. The MMA world is shifting. Quietly, rapidly, and violently. The fights we're seeing now aren't just about belts. They're about legacy, position, survival. From Sandhagen's emotional comeback to Figgy's aggressive new mission, from Islam's controversial crossroads to Jon Jones's silent prophecy, every story is a piece of a larger puzzle. A storm is gathering. Some fighters are aging legends trying to protect their thrones. Others are unproven disruptors looking to flip the game upside down. And then there are those in between, like Garry, waiting for fate to hand them the moment of a lifetime. This isn't just a fight card. It's a war map, and the next explosion could come from anywhere.